to this week's episode of Diesel and the Beard.
Welcome back, boys and girls. We have another packed episode with all of your biased opinions from your two favorite hosts, Diesel and LaBeard.
The Beard. Heyo.
Lays Garkey. Episode 13 going into week 11. Half the league goes to 6-4 records. There's lots of stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about your usual favorites, starting with the week 10 recaps. We're going into grade the grabs, another man's treasure, playoffs, lives do matters, folks. Then your favorite segment after getting slaughtered last week on the 365 picks with my Titans. Got absolutely smacked around on Thursday Night Football. I didn't see that coming. Hopefully we can rebound this week with a couple nice picks. But then we go into the week 11 preview, doing some trade reviews, and the news segment, which I've been kind of following closely and enjoying, the 13th man, where AJ picks a team strictly off of the waiver wire and sees how it would compete against real active rosters. And it was just a whim. It came out as a whim. We rolled with it week 1, rolled with it week 2, and now it looks like this might have a permanent fixture on our weekly show. So I guess the best thing to do is just roll right into this. What do you think, man?
Yeah, let's thanks for the introduction, and I think that's exactly where we go with this. So let's kick off the week 10 recap. And the first game that we're going to touch on is your victory. I mean, you obviously knew how important that was, but must win. In terms of how Chad looked at it, I don't know how seriously Chad is taking the league this year. I don't know why. Obviously, he's busy. But his running back core leaves more than a lot to be desired. And you, I think you had one of those weeks where it was, you were primed for the upset, just based on some of the matchups that you had. So for you to not break 100, but still come away with the win is impressive.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I was a little worried. I had a decent lead going into the Monday night game, and he had Vikings, but that game was it was a stinker. I don't know if you watched it, but there was a lot that could have happened. Minnesota's D could have easily picked 6-1 to the house and made that game a lot closer than it was. Thankfully, Chad's team threw up a couple, DJ Dallas with a 3, Travis Fulham with 0.8, and then Fulgham. And then Darren Waller, luckily, he dropped a big long bomb in that game. I was watching the Raiders game, a bit of that, and that could have changed things a bit. But yeah, my team didn't play overly good, but everyone chipped in kind of. Didn't break 100, but I was close. And anyways, I'm happy to take the win. I needed that.
Nice.
But
it moved you to fourth, man.
Nobody lost.
Yeah.
It's like I needed to win, and other guys needed to lose, but everyone that needed to win won, and we got a pretty neat dynamic going into the final weeks here. So.
For sure, man. I think with half the league being at 6-4, and we'll get into that more with the playoff lives matter segment. But with the fallout here, it's pretty convincing that there's going to be some hearts broken, man, when it comes down to the bubble. So
and another thing to note: Russell Wilson had a real shit game. I think his worst game of the season, which completely puts Chad on. That slows his team down because I think he's been pretty quarterback dependent. Salvam Ahmed. I looked at him. On the waiver wire, and I had a free open spot. I was gonna throw him in there. I was like, I don't even want to waste my time. Chad puts him in, bang, 15 points. So
he looked spicy too, man. He looked like a Tootsie Sprouls out there with some jam. So I think it's a 1 or 2 week play, but
yeah, for sure. Anyways, let's move along on the other matchups. I know there's some people here who think we're too biased. We talk about our own teams too much.
It's funny.
Namely Jacob and Cody, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe we'll spend a little time talking about their teams today. Cody really wants praise for taking Miami's defense off the waiver wire, as if you and I somehow give a fuck about defenses in this league. I picked the Colts defense off waiver wire. They're number
I know
one.
I have to start one.
Yeah. Nobody cares. I did what Cody did, but better. Have you ever heard me mention the Colts defense on this fucking? There was like week 6. I picked them up. Number
for
1
you.
defense. Yeah, you're like, oh, cool. Yeah, let's move along. No one gives a shit, Cody.
No.
And anyways, so we'll talk about your shitty squads, and you can take our buys. You guys should start a podcast. Actually, you and Jake get together, find some time in your week. Buy the equipment, record a podcast, and put it out, and you can have your own spin on it. You can call it
Pinky and the Insane. Pinky and the Insane.
Yeah.
Pinky and the Insane.
Well, you know what? We get a lot of love, but we get a lot of hate on it too. You know,
well, I think
that's not someone's opinion. This is all opinion based. If I want to say Pat Mahomes is the worst fucking QB in the league, and then I have some data to back that up, and be like, this is why I think he's the worst. Obviously, I don't have data, but I can have that opinion. That's the whole. That's talk radio.
Well, that's exactly why we do this, to get the different opinions, so you guys can spice up your fantasy lives and gain some insight here. Because at the end of the day, I'm a 3-time champion. You're the original and first ever and KFFL champion. Yeah. I think there's a lot of insight. I think that we counted the trades, and we're at I think it was 27 total trades this season versus 10 the previous.
Yeah.
And so we're pretty near breaking the 3-year record, which was 36 set 2 years ago. So the trade deadline is tomorrow. I'll get that out there just so that everyone knows. And as an aside, if you do have a trade in the works, just let me know previous to midnight, and I'll let the talks go beyond. If I get a message at 11 p.m. tomorrow that says I'm working on a deal, and I don't get another message from you until 4 a.m. that says the deal's done, that deal is okay. I'll put that through. If I get a message Saturday morning at 10 from Chad that says I just did a deal, bud, that's not going through unless you let me know before midnight.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's get back on pace here. So the second matchup we'll look at, Powell keeps pace with the 6 and 4s, with a convincing victory over Valdez. What was your take on that match?
I think I had Valdez for the upset in this somehow, and then I watched his team, and it was just, guys like Christian Kirk, who I expected, I expect 10s out of him. He should get, 60 yards, maybe 50, 40 yards in a TD kind of guy, or 60, 70. He puts up a nothing burger. T.Y. Hilton, same thing. I expect more to him, does nothing. So anyways, well done, Powell.
He's back.
It was Valdez, it is what it is. He probably should have won. I was calling an upset. Didn't work out. Welcome to the club of 6 and 4s.
I like that.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard to the 6 and 4.
Yeah, no kidding.
This next one here, I'm with you on that one, Dorian. So we'll move on. The next one was the duo against my brother, and it literally went down. It went down to the literal wire. I was actually envisioning it. I was basically envisioning it as this: the Diggs long touchdown late to put my brother up by a manageable amount with Silva still having guys. Okay. I'm picturing him fucking dancing around his living room, screaming the woo.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long it was after that, but the stake through the heart from the back into the rib cage twisting. Yeah. I mean, that so DeAndre Hopkins.
The bleeding's not stopping once you twist the blade. That's the old knife stick. When you stick and twist, the blood can't coagulate. So that's just you bleed out. And that's really
you bleed out.
I think Silva was saying, he was texting me, and I was kind of following along. But with the late Allen to Diggs TD, Cody had to go against only J.K. Dobbins. And
Monday night.
There was like a brief, quick little I was going to say you should plug in the Gus bus because he's the touchdown guy, I think. But then Hopkins catches the miracle bomb. They called it the Hail Murray, I think it's being called on the highlights. Or sorry, the Hail Murray. The Hail Murray.
That's good, man.
And so it ended it. Anyways, killed by trade talks for Gus Edwards late. So it would have been, I think it would have been JK needed 6 or 7 points to beat Cody going into the Monday Nighter, but it just all got eliminated. And funnily enough, JK Dobbins only put up 2.36 points or something. So had that touchdown not have been a touchdown, Cody actually wins that week, and we have some change. But Hopkins catches it with his big ass fucking gorilla hands, 6XL. He wears a 6XL glove. Can you imagine how big? I think I got a thick paw, and I'm like a large to XL. If I want a snug glove, I'll wear a large.
He's
He
a
wears
6XL? Dude,
And
what the fuck, man?
Anytime you hear
You
someone
could fit a watermelon in that thing.
Oh, he could one-hand a watermelon in the air. And when you hear people talking about like, oh, I shaked Hopkins' hands after the game or whatever, they're just like a vice grip. These are big men saying.
I had no idea.
Troy Aikman, he said it. He's a fucking quarterback. He's got a big mitt. He's not a little guy. John Gruden, when John Gruden's like, that guy's got a paw, like he's got a fucking paw. So, anyways, tough loss for Cody, but it adds more spice to the 6-4
Mm-hmm. Loudon season. It went
race with a miracle catch. So I guess the dramatic finish, to say the least.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. So moving on, Rosie ends Loudon's season handedly.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of saw this coming. I think Loudon was done without a Rosie beatdown, but this really just put a nail in the coffin. Loudon has since sold off, and he's in rebuild mode, which is it's good. I think that's where he should be. You can't rest on your laurels too long in this league. You know, the Zeke and Dak train can only carry you so far. We'll see what he does again. I mean, he's been known to.
He's got a good core. Yep. He's got a good core. And I think that over the off season, I'm hoping to do a couple shows where we prime the draft and a few other things. So I'm sure we'll be seeing these guys like Loudon sell off and stack the picks.
Well, are the Cowboys signing Dak? Because I mean, this should change the whole team around.
I mean, a lot of it is this, man. Like, if you don't have a better option, it doesn't matter what Dak wants or doesn't want. It's like, okay, if Dak wants too much and there's an offer or there's an option that's obviously less money but reasonable, then you would take that. But Dak's performance this season, even though it was a portion of a season, was so good that I think it just set the table where it was like, and I've heard Jerry multiple times say that they'll take care of Dak. Now he hasn't. I think
they have to make him the highest paid quarterback in the league. If they want Dak, they have to make him the highest paid quarterback in the league. Because if they don't, I think Dak will probably get another offer that will make him the highest paid quarterback in the league.
Oh, of course, man. If you hit the open market, it would be disgusting.
Yeah,
fully guaranteed contract. I bet too.
Which, and Zeke doesn't look good without Dak. So just for the sake of making this spicy, if Dak leaves town, goes to Jacksonville. A, what does that do for Zeke? B, what does that do for Dak? And C, what does Loudon do then? Now, is it a full rebuild? Like, that could be funny. We'll keep an eye on that developing throughout the year. Yep. Reynolds makes a statement with a loaded tiebreaker win over Jake.
Yeah, I don't think Jake saw this one coming, and frankly, neither did I. It was a decent week for Jake, putting up 106 points. Anytime you break 100, you're obviously going to be sniffing around a win. But Reynolds went ahead and put up 149 points, and that's with that's with the corpse of Jimmy Graham putting up a 0 burger. So, it was one of these weeks for Reynolds. I'm just looking up and down the roster where he got 15 out of his kicker. He got Jacoby Myers putting up 13. Ronald Jones had that one huge fucking run, which just made everybody, quake in their boots.
98-yard CD run.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's like a 20-point play right there. But at the end of the day, Reynolds is, he looks like the team right now that is the dark horse. That if anyone is looking for a guy that'll get in late and make some noise, I really do think it's him.
Yeah. His team is certainly poised to make some noise, and his bench doesn't look terrible either, to be honest with you.
No,
he's got guys like Chris Carson that have been banged up that he hasn't been able to plug and play. His receivers look decent, and he seems to have a quarterback that he's been using for a couple weeks in a row.
Herbert, man.
Herbert. Which, he's a good enough athlete to make things happen, but the team's not quite good enough that they're driving the bus late in games. So he's usually still down and throwing, and it's been pretty good for him so far. So
he's the QB4 this week. So I mean, that's the type of caliber of performances that he's been getting out of that rookie. So he got the big win, and I think that's just another nail in the 6-4 coffin for the league. So it's
that
pretty
trade looks a little
interesting.
different now for Reynolds. We were talking about it a few weeks ago. The him getting Herbert off Cody for in a nothing trade, and I said
it's a good point.
If Herbert starts blowing up, now I think Reynolds has to put him in a keeper conversation.
Man, my brother just traded for Matt Stafford. Like he needed a quarterback. Like
Right.
we're in a situation right now where Herbert is outplaying Josh Allen.
Yeah. In some weeks, for sure. I mean,
as a rookie,
there's only 2 rookie quarterbacks, in my opinion, that you're going to consider keeping, maybe 3, but there's 2 for sure, and that's Burrows and Herbert. And Cody let him go in a nothing deal. If Herbert blows up in 2-3 years, like, we're going to look back at that trade and be like,
he's on pace to break the rookie record.
Yeah, he really is. So, anyways, that's a juicy story. Maybe we'll have to look at that in the off season and just like look at some of the trades and how they look now. Do a
Climb that up, yeah.
And then AJ plays Craig. Okay, moving on.
Spent the weekend in free parking there, bud.
Yeah, it was closer than I thought at some moments in that game, if I remember correctly.
Well, I mean, I didn't have that normal, I've been averaging over 150 points the last 2 weeks. So I ended up putting up 126.
I mean, going right up into the 4:00 games, it was tight. It was
a 15 point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
and
definitely.
Then, you just kind of stayed.
Kamara did his thing and Dalvin did his thing.
Yeah. Did Dalvin do his thing though? Because he looked awful in that Chicago game.
He got 20 carries. I mean, you got to remember that defense in Chicago is the only reason they have 5 wins. You got Khalil Mack. He's basically Predator. I mean, he's just everywhere. They're literally a college. They're literally an NCAA caliber team without Khalil Mack.
Yeah. Like their offense is terrible.
It's pathetic.
I don't like Chicago all year, and every time I bet against them, they seem to win, especially when Schwartz came in. They had like 2 late game winning. One was a field goal, one was a touchdown drive. So I just don't know what to think of the Bears. Just stay right away from them. If I don't know it, I don't like it. Just generally my thoughts on it. Let's go into the next segment. Everyone likes these grade the grabs, where you and I can give our opinion on what we think of people's free agent pickups. Everyone doesn't like our opinions, but hey.
Listen, this is the way it works. Sometimes you make a move and you think it's the best, and the only way you're going to be able to really, measure that is by putting your opinion up against other people. And so, what better duo to put up your opinions than against us? Like I said, we've got plenty of championship caliber experience. It's not like we're a couple of bottom feeders perennially, and we're like,
we've both been to 4, right? You've been to 4 championships and won 3. I've been to 4 championships and won 1.
I've been to 3 and won 3.
Okay, so there's 7 championships between us. It's almost 1 a year. So you can either take our advice or not. I don't really give a shit.
Right.
Some of the people in this league have only been following football for 3 years or less. And
right.
I've been diehard since 2002, really. So anyways, we'll give our opinion where we feel like it's necessary.
Well, let's start this off. Yeah, let's start this off with I guess this guy's been on the free agency radar for a few weeks now, and I was actually sort of surprised to see him sort of stagnate there. But Nyheim Hines was grabbed by Adam with the first priority. And one interesting tidbit there is he's had 3 multi-TD weeks this season so far.
Yeah, I mean,
I gave it an A+.
I think it's a great move. I like Nyheim Hines. He was one of my every week. I usually put out if I'm 8th on the waiver wire, I'll put in 8 grabs. If I'm 5th, I'll put in 5. So I usually get a guy. Nyheim Hines is at the top of my list. He seems to keep making big plays there. He seems to be a touchdown target, and he seems to be getting a share of the workload. Do I like it for Adam? Not really, but if he can compound this guy and trade him to somebody before the deadline tomorrow, great move. What do I think of Nyheim Hines as a player? I think he's an A in terms of what's on the waiver and what's available. So I'm with you there.
Same.
But I mean, Rosie needs to do something with this.
He's loading up for the consolation, as we mentioned last week too. So I think if these guys continue to put up points, I mean, he's openly said to me he's gunning for that first overall pick now.
Well, I mean, the thing is, everyone else has been selling off. So it's like you're going to have to play in the consolation, but like, anyone else that's in the consolation, like they're going into this bare bones, like let's just throw together a roster. So what do you need to load up really?
Well, I mean, just in terms of who else he could have grabbed, that's why I gave it such a good grade. But, I mean, in terms of a long-term play, I'm right with you.
Gotcha.
I think it's negligible.
Logan Thomas, Craig picked him up in the 2nd spot.
Yeah, I gave it a C+. I mean, he was a top tight end free agent other than Jimmy Graham. So, that puts you sort of in a position to understand, the market that was available. There wasn't much else out there.
Yeah, with me and tight ends, I just see no value of them. You either have the top 3 or you don't. So I'm going to give this a C-. But yeah, it's not a bad play. If I'm Craig, though, I probably go for somebody more boom or bust. Like someone.
Yeah, well, that's Jimmy Graham. He's touchdown dependent, right? So if he catches a touchdown, you're going to get 10 points. In terms of moving him,
yeah. And like I think like if you had to sell someone a tight end late, we're coming into the witching hours now, but a guy that puts up a big game for you might give you more value in a last minute trade than Logan Thomas, who's just been quietly chugging along. So Corey Davis, Loudon picked him up. He's kind of the boomer bust guy I'm talking about.
Yep, exactly. I'm with you. I gave it a good grade. I thought it was an A. That's really dependent on the efficiency of Tannehill. Tannehill has proven to be a super efficient quarterback, but at the last couple of weeks, he's been inefficient. So, which has led to Corey Davis hitting the wire and being available, because earlier in the season, Davis was a complete machine.
Right. Yeah.
So
I like Davis as a player. I like him for Loudon, and hold on to him and see how that works out.
Same. Yeah, I feel the same. He's a former first-round pick. So
yeah, I like having high talent guys on my team. But Hunter Henry to Cody Powell. I like this move. Sorry, I'll give the Davis trade a B+.
Nice. Yeah, I was right there with you with an A.
Hunter Henry to Cody Powell. Yeah,
I gave it an A+. I thought he was the best player available, top 5 rest of season at the position, which is really hard to find on the waiver wire. I know why Cody gave up. I know why my brother gave up on him, because he hasn't seen the production. And I think a lot of the preseason value baked into Hunter Henry was sort of surrounding Tyrod Taylor being the quarterback. But yeah, I mean, I think we're looking at a move that if Cody Powell decided he wanted to move Hunter Henry, there'd be a market. If he wanted to start him, he's got an option. And so anytime you grab a guy like that off the waivers, I just think that that's a great value.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I've heard you talking about Hunter Henry a bit the last couple of weeks. You've really liked him. You've kind of you've been eyeing him up. So
yeah, he's a value.
The ROS, that's a ranking not enough people are talking about. And I don't even know if some people know this exists, because when we talk about
on the glass.
Yeah. And it's funny because one of our listeners, one of their critiques was we don't do any of our research. We just talk about bullshit. And this ROS, rest of season ranking, is super important this time of year. And I don't think enough people are really even utilizing it or know what that is. So now that you do know what it is, you're going to pretend you knew what it was all along. Go take a look at how your team looks for ROS rankings and their matchups, and we can go from there. Anyways, moving along. MVS to Jake. I hate it. I won't talk much more about it. What do you think?
Well, I just think with the impending return of Alan Lazard and the proven record that Lazard has in terms of chemistry with Rodgers, I think that the MVS pick it's more so a handcuff. If Lazard, I have heard actually before that I jumped on air with you, Dorian, I was listening to another industry cast and they were talking about LaFleur's drive to ease Lazard in. Now, I trust that about as much as I trust the weather. So it's not one of those things I'm going to put a lot on, but you pick up MVS based on your chasing touchdowns.
Yep.
Forgive me, I didn't check Jake's depth chart, but I gave it a C-. I thought it was what it was.
Yeah, I'm right there, C-. I don't really actually hate it. It's not bad, but I think there's better moves for Jake, especially having the third receiver on a roster. I think there were some better guys available. Rosie, quarterback Carousel Rosie, takes Jameis Winston, just hoping that he can somehow get the ball to Thomas and make he waited too long on Thomas.
Now he's making the best of it. Yeah.
He's done. He's lost it. He could have really had a fucking nice trade for that. Again, all opinion. Maybe he wants to hold on to him next year, but I don't see why he's going to go into a season with a 28-year-old wide receiver when he's in a rebuild, and the rest of his team he's going for 21-year-olds.
Well, I like having a core, but at the same time, I think a lot of MT's value is tied up in Bree's shoulder, and I mean we've seen Breeze degrade pretty quickly over the last year, so. I understand it. I don't think the window is fully closed, though, Dorian. I think you're being skeptical in terms of the next 2 days. I'd like to see if something does get done. But
it's only really a day and a half, and Breeze's ribs are crushed. So, first of all, his ribs are broken on both sides, and he has a collapsed lung, which means Winston is going to be taking over the helm. And if anything, Winston has proven to us he cannot be a number one quarterback in this league, which is why he's a backup in New Orleans. Plenty of teams needed a quarterback going into the season. All of them looked at
30
Winston.
touchdowns last year, though. So
he's proven he can get the ball down the field. So
it's true.
I mean,
I'm just more so saying if you're gonna have a guy like MT, and you're gonna make noise in the consolation, or you're looking to flip Winston and MT as a package.
okay. So let's just say for argument's sake that Winston does make something out of MT for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Is New Orleans quarterback moving forward going to be Winston? No.
I don't
They're
know.
going to go young. They're going to draft a quarterback, and then it's going to be like 3 years of Peyton developing a guy. Or Taysom
they've got
Hill.
Taysom. They've got Taysom.
Come on. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think it's hilarious how they use that duo there. But I think Taysom Hill, just as an aside, I think Taysom Hill is going to be used less because they'll protect him. Jameis is the backup. Taysom goes in when Breeze is there as like a gadget. Now that Jameis is the starter, Taysom's the backup. So I just think that the Jameis Winston grab is interesting. I gave it a B-. I said he doesn't look great in relief, but he pushes the play downfield consistently. So, which is something that Breeze, for whatever reason, didn't look comfortable doing this season.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're gonna see, but I don't think they're gonna change their game plan around, start airing it out. They're still gonna be running the same offense, which has a lot of shallow crossers. But we'll see how.
Hey, I love that. I love that. My boy.
Laviska Shenault, you picked him up, AJ. He was one of the guys on my list. I understand why Cody had to give up on him, but I think Shenault has tons of upside, and yeah, as you call it, rookie farming. This guy could, once we're going into next year, we'll see how he finishes the year, and then maybe it's an off-season trade, or maybe it's a guy you want to work into your roster. But as a player, I like Laviska Shenault. For you, I don't think he sees the daylight of playing time, but I give the pick a B+.
Yeah, thanks. I'm not going to give it a grade, but I will just quickly talk about rookie farming. And so, if anyone thinks that there's no stats or research that goes into this pod, they're obviously mistaken. But when I look at a guy like Laviska Shenault, the reason I grabbed him is because he has no ready upside right now for me. And so when I have an open roster spot and I've already taken care of my other needs as a team, I look at farming rookies for next season. I did it with guys like Ronald Jones, who I was able to actually trade in the offseason. So what I did is last season saw a guy like Ronald Jones, saw the positive trajectory in terms of usage and even his body composition. And so then when it came time for the offseason to hit, sort of the later offseason, I was actually able to move Ronald Jones. And that was a late season pickup for me last year.
Yeah.
And so really there's two options for me. Laviska Shenault, he earns a bigger role over the offseason, and so his value goes up. Or he doesn't. And so one of those outcomes, I sell him and someone gets themselves a nice rookie or a sophomore, or I drop him and he I have nothing invested
in the first place. Yeah. Yep. No, I agree. Advanced technique from you. I don't think enough people are patient enough to wait on guys. So.
Well, and that's one of the perks of listening to the podcast. I'm more than happy to share a lot of my playbook with people. There's no, if you guys want to think that it's coincidence or luck that guys like you and I make the finals, I mean, I listen to hours upon hours of industry casts every single week. There's a lot of research. So, and I know you do your research too. So
I do. A little bit of it's paid information, a little bit of it's gut instinct, but I take it all in and make my decisions accordingly. But I'm the type of guy where I make my own moves based on my own feeling.
Same.
And if you're going off of Fantasy Pros trade evaluators to make every single move you make, who are you really listening to?
It doesn't take into consideration the nuance of the league, man. Like I look at the trade analyzer objectively. I don't even really use it anymore, but I did used to use it objectively, but it doesn't take into consideration it's a dynasty league.
Right.
The depth of your team.
They do have a dynasty ranking, but I don't think it really relates to us. The only thing I'll do is if I plug in two guys and one of them's if the trade's way off and I don't think it's way off, the only thing it'll make me do is go do research on why it's way off. If there's two guys and it's saying one side's the winner, I'm like, well, why is this? And I can start digging into it a little bit more. And they're like, oh, we don't like that backfield because this other running back's there and he's starting to be good. Then I'm like, I'll look into that running back a bit more. And then I'll make a decision. Do I think this guy is actually good enough to take away carries, or do I think that this guy's going to be a nobody in a couple months and this is going to be the bell cow? But you got to make your own team's moves, and you got to do what's right for you. Segment 3, Another Man's Treasures, a new one. So a couple good drops this week in order for people to get their waiver pickups. And I guess we'll start at the top of the list. Adrian Peterson, RB65.
Yeah, I mean, these are the guys that were dropped for whatever reason, and so sometimes there's little gems that pop out here. And so we got AP, the RB65 ROS. We got Josh Kelly, RB51 ROS.
Yeah.
And then we go to Carson Wentz. He's the QB14, which is borderline startable. And then the last one that I highlighted was Henry Ruggs III, WR64, which he's really a prime candidate for rookie farming. I almost picked him up.
He is a rookie farmer for sure. I like Ruggs. I don't like him this season in terms of what he's going to do for point production, but he's going to have a chunk of that offense down the road. It's just he doesn't want to wait on him that long. AP still got a little meat left in the bone. I'm not big on Josh Kelly. I've watched enough of him now that I've made my decision on that. Obviously, you are the one that dropped him, so you've obviously had enough of that too. And
the problem is, man, he was the handcuff to start the year to Austin Eckler, and so he had competition for touches with Justin Jackson. Well, then Justin Jackson goes out and they bring in Tremaine Pope. Tremaine Pope goes down and they bring in Kalen Ballage. So we had 3 running backs go ahead of Josh. It's like Josh never is going to, he's not going, Joshua Kelly is not going to be the starter this year. So, I mean, I might eat my words, but I couldn't trade him. So I dropped him.
Yeah, that's fair. So yeah, I mean, if you're looking to do a little rookie farming, some good guys there. I think AP could probably fit into some guys' flexes in the next couple weeks. I know Swift's been going off, but I think there's meat on that bone left. So AJ's favorite segment, Playoff Lives Matter, where we can look at the numbers from an analytical standpoint and figure out who's doing what and percentages. So why don't you run through that one, AJ?
Yeah, no, it is definitely become one of my favorites. It's pretty stacked and loaded with stats, and I always like stats because they really they lend clarity to the situation usually. So this week we're going to pick 4 teams of the pool of 6, and it's a pretty large pool because we've got 6 owners that are currently at 6-4. And so of those, 4 of them will make the playoffs and 2 unfortunately will not. So let's kick off with the first team. So Jake is 6-4. He's got an 82% chance of making it, and he's got a 10% chance of taking the title home. He closes the season with matches against JV, the duo, and Loudon. The next one, so maybe I'll just go through them and then we can reflect. Second is Chad, same record, 70% to get in and 4% for the title. He plays Craig, Cody, Wilson, and JV. Dorian, you're third on the list, 69% to get in and 9% for the title. So you've got a lesser chance to get in than Chad, but you've got more than double title chance. You close with a Rosie and 2 Powells, which we've talked about previously. Those 2 Powells are going to be interesting. Reynolds is 6-4, 65% chance and 6% for the title. He plays against the duo and then has back-to-back matches against myself. And then the last 2 are the Codys. Cody Powell has a 58% chance with a 6% title, whereas Cody Wilson has a 57% chance with a 4% title. Powell has me and then 2 against you. And Cody Wilson has Loudon, Chad, and Adam. Lot to unpack.
Jake's remaining schedule's got to be probably the easiest.
JV and Loudon.
JV Loudon, who have both been sellers already, so they're pretty bare bones. I can't see Jake going any worse than 2-1. So I think Jake makes his way into it. Chad goes Craig, Cody W, JV. Again, another easy. Soft. He should go 2-1 as well. At worst, he could go 3-0 and run the board there. If Wilson can get back on his horse. I go Rosie, which, I mean, he just upset Loudon, so he's got the pieces. He doesn't seem to be selling as much as I think he should be. So let's say I win Rosie and I take one of Powell's matches against him. I should go 2-1. Reynolds goes duo in the beard times 2. I could see Reynolds, although he just put up a monster week. I think that's not indicative of what his team really is.
He has a hard he's got the hardest schedule, I was trying to say.
Yes. I wouldn't be surprised if he went 0-3. Like, it could certainly happen. I think he'd be doing well to go 1-3 there.
So if he goes I was just going to say, if he goes 1-2, he would be 7-6. And so it's interesting. Every year we've been in play, 7-6 or 6-7 has been the record for the last spot. This is the year where we actually have a situation where we could have 8-5 beat. This is where the level of competition is. We could, we're talking 2-1s that we're predicting here. That would be 8-5 for a lot of these guys. So,
yeah. I mean,
I
the
don't
lucky
think
thing for me is I have some good tiebreakers in my corner. That's why I'm of the 6-4s, I'm fourth, because I think I have the tiebreaker versus Reynolds. I think I have the tiebreaker versus Chad now. I have the tiebreaker, well, not against Cody P yet because we have 2 more games, but I have one already. So even if I split that series, I'll have the tiebreaker versus him. And I also. Did I beat Cody? I think I beat Cody Wilson. So I think I have the tiebreaker versus him as well.
He beat you the other week.
Did we not play earlier in the season? Maybe.
Are you guys 1-1? I'm just going to pull up your schedule. 1 sec.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I know I have a couple. That's why I'm fourth out of the 6-4s. I'm still fourth.
I think you're third actually as well. So you played my brother, 1 sec here, Chum Marines. He beat you 122-93, and you haven't played him since.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm fourth. It goes you, and then it goes duo, then Jake, then me.
And yeah, then... you and there's only a 1% difference in the playoff percentage between you and Chad. So, and you've got a much better title. You've got more than double his title chances. So they're definitely giving you a lot of love there.
Yeah. Shout out to Powell, because him and I were supposed to be bottom feeders, and right now it's going to come down to what looks like the last 2 games of the season, and we could, if we split that, we could both go into the playoffs. So from the second last place to both playoff berths, that's pretty good.
If you're going to pick 2 guys that don't make it, that's what I'm really interested in. Which 2 teams do you think have the forget about the percentages? If you were to say 2 of these guys you don't think are going to make it in this year, which 2 would they be?
Reynolds. I don't see Reynolds making it. And I mean, I have to say Cody Powell. I mean,
so you think that my brother is going to get in over Powell and Reynolds? Well,
your brother has to play Loudon, Chad, and Adam. I think it's going to come down. So will it come down to points for and points against?
I believe if you've got a tied head-to-head record, which is the first tiebreaker, I believe it does switch to PFPA.
It's actually going to be disgusting because it's going to come down to tiebreakers. I'm almost positive because a lot of these records are all going to go 2-1. Like, it's going to come down. It's going to come down to crazy tiebreakers, and I won't be surprised if it comes down to a points for and against in some cases. So, and your brother's points for is disgusting.
No, I know, and that's. I mean, I think that's part of the reason he's the bottom, because his PFPA is so low, which kind of screws him in the tiebreaker realm.
Well, let's hold on here a second. Let me go do my research before I say this on air. Okay, looking at Cody's team. Yes, he is the second worst points for in the league. Okay. No, it actually goes Agent Smith and then Craig. And then of the remaining teams that are playoff worthy, Cody's got 1,080 points, which is 8th. So just to make sure my research was right.
So you're going to say that Cody Wilson gets in over the other 2?
Well, I have to think I'm running the table on Powell, right? Or like, and if I beat Powell
twice, think so?
I think he's out. And Cody's got to play Loudon and Adam, which should be wins. So I think Cody Powell and Reynolds don't make it, and Cody gets in based on remaining schedule.
You heard it here first, guys. Dorian is saying that what we're going to see is Cody Wilson getting in, and Cody Powell and Reynolds not. And I think a lot of that comes down to scheduling. Unfortunately for those guys, they've just had bad or harder schedules. But in reality, if you look at Reynolds' schedule against duo Beard, that's listen, he could do it. And if he does it, he's going to be a contender. So,
oh yeah. All right. So
this is my. Are you ready to move on to the next segment?
Yeah,
Brian?
let's go.
So this is really the segment that I get my adrenaline going, because if we hit here, then we're golden, and if we don't, then we just chase bets for next week. So last week we went 0-3. My buyer beware pick was Titans +1, and they obviously got stomped out. Dorian had Titans money line. He put 15% of the bankroll, and that was a loss. The two blocked punts were just, they pretty much were the nail in the coffin. So
yeah.
And then the AJ Brown anytime TD was the chaser for 5% of your bankroll, and it was an L. So it's time to move on. I'll just open with my buyer beware. I got the Cards. I like the divisional aspect. I think it keeps it close. The teams are intimately aware of each other. I think that with the same time zone between Arizona and Seattle being important, the travel doesn't necessarily matter as much. The Seattle home field isn't as dominant as it used to be. I think that that's going to be more of a neutralizer, less of a neutralizer. And so I pushed the Seahawks, the Cards -2.5 to a Cards +3.5.
Yeah. Honestly, I like the pick. I really do. I'm having trouble betting against Seattle this year because Russ looks so good, especially on primetime games. The last primetime game he turned Lockett into a fucking god mode receiver for 40. And he's just the kind of guy, like, he's had two kind of clunker weeks, but I just have a hard time betting against Russ Wilson. He's just like the more mature, older version of Kyler. It's really going to come down to what I like Seattle's defense, if they can make a stop. But Seattle's home record's 4-0. What I think I'm going to do, just in the interest, kind of keep it easy. I don't want to hop on cards with you, but I think I'm going to take Seattle money line. And that way we could both win. Like
Seattle money line. I like it. It kind of keeps you in line with your synergies, and then it still gives you access to that.
You can win. If Seattle wins by 3, you win, and I win. So it's good for both. I don't know. I'm having a hard time going against Seattle. I
think Seattle wins by 3.
Yeah. So that's I think where I'm at with it.
The over is 57. So, a lot of people in the industry are talking about this game being out of control. And I've watched football for almost 2 decades. And so my experience tells me that anytime the media blows something up, it's probably going to be the opposite. The way that it works with these divisional games is the games will go a specific way the first time, and they'll change the outcome the second time, because the coaches, man, especially in Seattle, Pete Carroll's one of the best coaches in the league. He's going to coach his guys up. They're not going to, he's all about competition, and he's going to make sure that his guys are coached up.
Compete, yeah.
Exactly, man. So I think that if you put that in line with a Seattle money line, it makes sense. What sort of percentage on the bankroll would you be putting on that for the people at home?
Oh, I don't know. It's hard to know. I would say 5%, maybe. 5 to 10, 10% of your bankroll. If you got 100, bet $10.
And so if we go and look at what that pays on the main market, a Seattle money line is 1.66. So it's actually the Oh, look at that. They've already pushed it to +3. It's now a -3.
Really? Me. It's because I just bet on it. I'm changing lines now.
I'm going to cash out at my first bet at +3.5, and I'm just going to jump back in, get those adjusted odds. Yep, it's perfect. Glad we're doing this. All right. Okay, so moving on. Do you have any other bets that you're going to want to take? I had a Hopkins anytime TD. I'm not sure if you had a chance to see any of that.
Yeah, I looked at it. I want to bet Lockett because I'm biased for fantasy, but he's got a kind of a sore knee and he's game time, so I don't really like that. Seattle's run game is all banged up. It's kind of just fucking Yahtzee on who's going to get a goal line carry. DK Metcalf always looks good, but he's going to be going against Peterson tonight, probably in double coverage a lot, especially if Lockett's not in. I'm going to wait till game time, but here's what I'll probably do. If Lockett's in, I'll take DK Metcalf. And if Lockett's not in, I'm going to go with David Moore for a 3-1 anytime.
David Moore, if Lockett's out.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. DK anytime if lock it's in, and a David Moore anytime if lock it's out. All right, those are your Bet365 picks with the Wiz. I will have a closing note here just on Seattle's pass defense. It's been a target as of late because their futility has been almost a historic NFL historic pace. So I'm not saying that it's a guarantee, but if you're looking for some sort of an angle to play, I think any Arizona pass catcher is a potential. So. I'll let that stand sort of where it's at. Thanks, Dorian, for that. Hopefully everybody can hit some bets and grab some cash bags. So.
Yeehaw.
All right, so I guess the next one we'll touch on is and when it comes right down to it, this is the nuts and bolts of it. The Week 11 preview for the KFFL. There are people that will not be going to the playoffs after this week.
Yeah.
There are guys that need to win. If they don't win, they don't control their own destiny, and they've got to really, pray to get in. So I guess we can kick off this week with the match between Loudon and my brother. Speaking of a must win, if my brother loses this, his path to the playoffs is extremely dim. And surprisingly, Loudon, I mean, mathematically, yes. But if you lose to a team like Loudon, this is one of the matches, we were just talking about Cody getting in. Well, he needs to win to get in, right? And so he's a 10-point underdog. Let me just verify that is still correct. One moment. Scarecrow versus the Chubb Marines. They both got their rosters, and it's a 15-point spread now. I'm not sure what's going on there, but at any rate, 15 points. I mean, frankly, I don't know if my brother has given up. But he
hasn't
not
yet because I've been offering him trades, so he's still playing.
Oh, okay.
He's got
it doesn't look good.
Is questionable with a 0, but Loudon is actually projected to beat him.
Stafford's playing with a torn ligament in his throwing hand.
Really?
Yeah, and so I saw the trade, and then I see Golladay be. I mean, I'm just looking at you're buying into a risk-riddled offense. A lot, like obviously tons of potential upside, and Stafford could come out and ball. But I think part of the reason his projections are so low is because a lot of that information is being built into that. So I mean, Golladay has a 0, right? He's questionable. And he's limited in return. So at any rate, I took Loudon. I think that Loudon's now playing spoiler. His team is ridiculous. He's got a better team than my brother on paper. He just hasn't got results. He's had the hardest schedule. And so I took him in this to play spoiler. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I would have actually, just looking at the names of the teams, I would have been like, there's no fucking way Cody loses this. But actually looking at the schedule now, and I've kind of been one of those guys all year that's like, you know what? Cody doesn't have Buffalo. He's out. Like he can't win without Buffalo. And Buffalo's on bye this week. Moss gone. Singletary gone. Allen gone. Diggs gone. And just looking at his remaining roster, he's going to need big weeks out of like Phillip Lindsay.
Chubb.
Fournette's clearly not the number one there. He's getting a little bit of touches, but like not many. I'm gonna say you're right. I think I think Loudon's got a better team on paper right now.
I think so too. It's unfortunate for my brother. I mean,
Cody's got to make a move. You got to do something. You spread yourself thin with Buffalo. Now it's time to see if you can get yourself some depth. So I'm going to go Loudon on this one.
All right. Next matchup is Craig versus Chad, 15-point favorite. I took Craig actually. I continue to struggle to reconcile the backfield for Chad. It's just pathetic. I mean, and I'm not trying to chirp him, but he's got LaMichael Pirine, Salvin, Ahmad, and that's it. So the Chargers defense in Denver D. I mean, you're playing in elevation for Ahmad as a rookie. I just don't know. I mean, Chad's a 31-point favorite. So I'm going out on a limb here, but I don't know. What do you think?
I think Rusty goes off tonight. He's had a couple clunkers. He's like Rodgers. You don't generally have back-to-back shitty games. Russ on primetime at home. I think they'll be down some of the game. He'll be throwing. I could see Russ putting up 40-plus points tonight, maybe 50. And I think that should sail Chad past Craig.
Okay.
But
So you
you're
take
right.
Chad on that.
These are running backs need help. He did go after. Oh, we could talk about that later. But he did go after a running back this week. He just wasn't able to land him. Made my deal more expensive. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Chad with the win. Jake versus JV.
JV's an 11-point favorite. Let me just check on that spread to be current. Sometimes I'll just adjust the spread to take into consideration lineup moves. So now Jake is an 11-point favorite now that Jake's got his lineup filled out. Let me just update that. I took Jake regardless.
Yeah. Kyler tonight, then Jacobs, Hilaire, Jones, Woods, Ridley, back. Yeah. Hawkinson, Davis. Yep. Says Kirk Allen. I'm gonna go with Jake too.
Okay. Yeah, we're on consensus on that one.
Because Jake didn't have a bad week last week. Reynolds just went Nuketown.
No, that's exactly it, man. Reynolds had his 140 point, drubbing, and so sometimes you run into a wall,
Yep. Duo versus Ray.
Let me check that. I had Reynolds as a 10-point favorite. Let's just confirm. Ooh, it's slower. So now it's a 6-point. We're looking at a 6-point spread in Reynolds' favor. This is game of the week, if you ask me.
Yeah, I would actually like to see Reynolds upset the duo here.
He is favored to do so.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with Reynolds just for Juju.
So did I, actually. So we'll see how that goes, but I mean, if Reynolds wins, Duo wasn't included in that grouping of 6 and 4, but he's only one game ahead in that second spot.
Yeah. So
if Reynolds puts himself up to 7 and 4, I mean, this group gets even bigger now.
Yeah, it does.
It adds one. So
it's going to come down to the wire for sure.
This next one includes yourself, so I'll jump off on it. It's Rosie against you. You were an 11-point favorite. I'll just make sure that that's accurate. Loudon's really embracing his role of spoiler. I just think your current team now, with the acquisition of Gurley, Robinson, and now Jones, and you're looking healthy with Julio, and I'm not sure about Lockett, but it's just, I just don't think there's really much that Rosie can do if your team plays as it should. So I took you.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I mean, Rosie's not doing me any favors. He's holding on to guys and making roster moves, and I just don't see Winston coming in off the bench. I mean, it is Atlanta, but I just don't like the guy. I watched him come out of college. I heard he was going to be a beast. He throws the ball far downfield. But you got to remember, those guys, like he was playing Mike Evans, who's going up and getting 50-50 balls for him all the time and getting touchdowns. But he threw just as many interceptions. So it's like, you can throw a fucking ball downfield to Mike Evans, and he's going to go up, and half the time he's going to come down with it, and half the time he's not. Go flip a fucking coin.
That's true.
Anyways, moving along, your matchup is the next one, and it is
with Powell.
Yeah, where is it? Super Cario.
I'm a 15-point favorite. Probably my smallest. I would say it's probably my smallest spread of the week so far, or of the year so far.
I'm not going to be betting against red when the wheel's been red 8 times in a row. I know that. So, everyone can say I wash your dick and fucking pump your tires, but there's a reason you're 9-1. So, yeah, I also want you to beat Powell. Like, of course.
Yeah, man.
I'm not gonna send bad juju.
Listen, if I'm going to just break it down through the eyes of a defending champion, I look at his roster and I go, he's got a roster that's like a powder keg. Guys like Miles Sanders, DK Metcalf, Justin Jefferson, and the gritty, and DeAndre Swift. Those are guys that could pop off.
Yeah.
I don't look at a guy like James Conner and go, oh, James Conner to me is a floor guy. And you need some of those, but you also need some of these pop guys. And so, what you're going to get out of me. You're going to get double-digit performances out of the stars. But what about the rest, And so one of my Achilles this year has been Lamar. Lamar's not going to give me that 50 points. So if B-Roth pops off against Jacksonville's porous D, I have to make up for it somewhere else. And now you got a guy like Powell running DeAndre Swift in his flex. Who knows what happens there?
Well, I was going to say that. I think the only place he has an advantage is I think B-Roth is going to probably double up Jackson this week. But I think he needs pop-off games out of Swift, Jefferson, and Metcalf he needs to pop off in those games. Like, yeah, maybe they will, maybe he has to have that happen just to keep pace with your guys. Because Jefferson having a pop off game is going to be Tyreek Hill's average, and Swift having a fucking pop off game is going to be Kamara's a maybe, and Metcalf blowing up is going to be Devontae Adams' probably regular game as well. So it's like you need those three guys just to neutralize what you're going to get. And then we still have guys that could pop off on your team. Henry could pop off. Cook will probably pop off. You have guys like Juno Smith, who's been a huge target as of late. So I just don't see it happening for Powell. And really, when I look at your team, I'm not just picking on Powell. I look at this from a standpoint of the whole season. And I'm kind of half a seller right now because I think my team on my best week can't beat your team on the best week. And honestly, I don't think there's many teams that could. I think Silva could hang in there if Mahomes goes off. I think Cody might be able to hang in there if the Bills fucking go off the charts.
He smashed me.
He did beat you, right? So he's like, he's the hope.
Smashed
Him,
me.
Silva. I don't see Chad's team doing it. I don't think my team could do it. And Jake, maybe he can kind of hang in there. So like, that's, I just don't see it, Powell. And I'm not just being biased against Powell. I just think, you have a well-built roster.
If he beats me,
it doesn't matter.
It is for you. I mean,
it matters for the league, but it doesn't matter for you. So
no. I mean, you're absolutely right. I just think if he wins that whole race with you, just the final 2 weeks are going to be so stacked.
It gets saucy.
Just as an aside, before we move on to the trade reviews, if I want to beat Ed's 2015 team scoring record of 1,875 points, I need to average 147 points for the last 3 weeks.
So why aren't you going after a quarterback? This is a question I've been sitting on for you. I get that you kind of invested in Lamar and you liked him, but
I didn't actually. I took him in the 13th round. My thing for that, bro, is who else do I want to watch? Like as bad as Lamar has been this season with his passing, he was really good as passing last year, and we've barely seen him run this season. So every time I start to think to myself, oh, woe is me, like, what am I going to do about a quarterback? I turn on the TV and I see Lamar sprinting down the field with the ball in his hands. And it's like, well, all right. So
I got you.
I've been there, man. I've been all over that. I almost came to you twice this season for Burrow. So,
well, we can talk. We got time. Let's move on to trade review, shall we? We had some decent action in the league this week, and I'm hoping, and I don't think so now because everyone's 6-4, but I was really hoping for a busy next 24 hours, 48 hours. And I don't know if we'll see that or not. I think guys will just go into over tinker mode and maybe little things will get done, but I don't see any blockbusters happening. I think everyone's going to ride their teams into the sunset. But it'd be really nice to see a couple crazy moves, like some guys switching quarterbacks or running back trades, or just like.
Oh, I know you're prodding.
No, just in general.
Yeah,
and I'm not. If you're talking about Rosie, I've given up on that. I went into his office.
No, I was talking about me.
Oh no, that would be kind of neat. But
yeah, it would.
I just don't see what you can give up. What are you going to give up?
Yeah.
You have no picks. It
would have to be a lateral move where you kind of gain on one end and I'll gain on the quarterback end.
I can't afford to keep anything. I already have keeper depth. But just for the people out there, I am willing to trade. Like if it's outside of my 5 core guys, like I've got lots of wide receiver depth. I've got some good running back depth. So I am willing to sell off some stuff, including a couple big names, because I'll roll into the playoffs with what I got. Julio Jones is available. I'll say that publicly. For the
Pardon fucking me. Julio is finally available.
Julio is available. I'm just looking at my roster from who. I mean, it's likely I'm not going to win. I'm going to try and win at my best, but I probably won't. And my team is a little overly stocked. And right now, I'm probably going to have to carry 2 quarterbacks into the draft. I got equity in Cam Akers I can't get rid of. Then I've got to pick between Robinson, Jones, Julio. So Julio's the guy that's just not going to fit my roster long term, especially if I'm going younger. So, anyways, he's available.
Is that effective immediately?
Yes. And I've let people know. People know. The problem is
I'm letting everyone know on the Facebook page right now.
No one's bringing me any real offers. I had one offer that was it was really stupid for me. I think it was a quarterback. It was a quarterback and a pickup grade for Julio. And I'm like, I already have 2 fucking quarterbacks. Like, I've got the quarterback of now, I've got the quarterback of the future. And that was the only real thing. And the people that can buy, so pretty much comes down to Craig has 2 rounds of picks. Rosie has 2 rounds of picks. Valdez has 2 rounds of picks. And if those 3 guys don't want them, who else can afford it that's in a buyer's seat? The heavy traders, you, Silva, Cody, and Jake don't have picks. And that's really all I need right now is picks. So anyway,
well, I just posted that. There. I just posted your quote on the Facebook wall. So we'll see if we can get anything cultivated there. So, but we did have some action last week. This is actually to the last 2 weeks, because when we posted the pod last Thursday, there had not been any trades, but there were a couple after that. So I guess I'll just kick it off. So the first trade involved yourself. Mm-hmm. You're in here twice, actually, bolstering your running back room, and I really like this first one. Odell Beckham, who's on IR, Melvin Gordon, who's just chronically underperformed to this point. So you sent those guys over to Justin Valdez, and he sent you a shiny James Robinson.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how that came to be, maybe, and what was the process dealing with JV like that?
JV, he's not bad to deal with once you actually get him kind of going. The problem is, I don't know if he's always busy or he just doesn't feel like talking about football a lot, but he's always got the I'll get back to you attitude. Yeah, let me look at it. I'll get back to you. And he never does. This trade started with Odell. I was looking to get rid of Odell back when I had Brown, because I needed to move Brown from a suspension spot into my roster. And it was a roster move I needed to get down. So I said, listen, take Odell off me for picks. You could throw him on your IR. It opens me up a spot on my IR so I can move a guy down and bring a guy. It was something like that. A couple weeks went by. He didn't do it. I ended up doing like a Frank Gore trade later. Then he got back to me. He's like, I'm still interested in holding, taking Odell from you. And I was like, oh, yeah. So then I was like, what do you want for Robinson? And I had some picks then. He wasn't interested in my picks. And then he came to me and I was like, what about Odell? And then I was like, what do you want for Robinson? And he's like, and then he said Gordon plus Odell. And I said, okay, I'll do that. And then he wanted time to think about it. And I was like, come on, man, let's just get this done. He sent the deal and it was a done deal. And it was kind of after we talked about Robinson, like an undrafted rookie free agent. Is he really going to be the starting running back next year, 2 years from now?
Who knows?
Yeah, we don't know.
That was the risk you took, right? Because, I mean, honestly, it's not, I gave him James Robinson, Hayden Hurst rounds 1 through 5 for Henry. Yeah. And so he then takes the Robinson piece. So he keeps the picks in the tight end. Well, he's actually dropped the tight end since. But he keeps the picks and he turns the Robinson into the Melvin Gordon Odell. I think the Odell is the real gem there. I think that he's the best player in the trade. And so if we're looking at who won the trade, I think you both did. I think that you got a guy who bolsters your run right now, no question. Yep. And I think that he gets a guy who's on IR. He did exactly what you want to do. Melvin Gordon's a keeper and on his team, and Odell is definitely a keeper, right? Yeah. So, and Odell, if you keep him and he's on IR next year to open, you get a free roster spot as well. Right. Yeah. So,
well, we both know Odell's going to be in the league, and he might be on a new team. He might land somewhere really good, and or maybe
imagine he goes to Green Bay.
Yeah, that's insane. I'd be really mad at that point. And he gets Gordon, and Gordon has not been great this year, but he's just been plugging around. He's a guy you could plug into a flex, no problem. So, I mean, there's still lots of things that can happen. The off season comes, and these guys can be traded and compounded twice. So who knows? But
man.
It worked
for me.
The draft
happens.
I needed a guy that was target heavy with carries, and Robinson was it, and I'm happy with it. So
I like it. I gave it a nice grade there. So I think you both win. So the next trade's yourself. So you went and brought in Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
And you accepted some low quality draft capital at a 9-9-10. Yep. And then you sent to Loudon Tevin Coleman, who's I think at that point just a handcuff for him having Raheem and really just a drop. And then a round 3, round 4, round 8. So my initial look at that is that you win the trade. I think that Gurley's just worth more than what you gave. And I think that Loudon was just trying to make something happen. And once he lost, he kind of, I think, washed his hands of the season. So he, who wins the trade? You've now upgraded your RB2 and your flex to compete with the big boys. And you've done so with giving up an IR, an RB3, a 3-4, and an 8.
Yeah.
So
I went after Gurley to Rosie, and Rosie didn't want to deal him back then. And then Gurley went off, and then somehow Loudon got him. Loudon beat me on the Rosie offer. And then I went to Loudon and actually had a done deal for a lower amount. And Chad came in and said he would give more. And then Loudon did the back and forth. Chad was up in me, I up Chad. Chad was up in me, I up Chad. So it kind of came to this. And those actually weren't Loudon's latest picks. I left the 11s and the other 10s there, and I went with 9, 9, 10. So it is shitty, but I still think I can get out of these rounds in time because I hate drafting in these rounds, even though it's actually probably good, but it's just fun looking at paper that like, oh, my draft ends in the 6th or whatever. And Gurley is he's my flex running back. So, I mean, I looked at it. I knew I needed to bring in running backs so I was going to compete in the playoffs. And I knew David Johnson, Melvin Gordon, and Aaron Jones weren't going to do it. So now it's Aaron Jones, James Robinson, and Todd Gurley. And if I can get bust weeks out of them or big weeks out of them, then I might have some playoff luck.
I liked it, and you clearly were the winner. So I think we can put that one to bed, and I'm excited just to see how it turns out for you. So
we'll see.
The next trade was Jake bringing in TJ Hawkinson and a pair of 11s, and then he sent a 5 and a 9 and Ryan Nall to Loudon. I actually have an interesting take on this because I was in a bidding war with Jake to get Hawkinson on this, and my opening offer was a 6. And then I had an opportunity to match a 5, and then Jake came back with the 2 picks. And at that point, it was a little too rich for me. I'm not a big fan of bringing in multiple 11 rounds.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people don't understand what you get in those rounds, but you get guys that you're not going to keep on your team. It's just essentially you have to make a pick, so you do. So at any rate, I think that Jake wins the wins the trade because he gets himself a top 5 rest of season tight end.
Yeah.
But I think that he probably paid a little bit more. But let's just, as an aside, I wanted to talk about this because we're seeing it as a theme. People can chirp loud and all they want. Look what he did with both of these deals. He took the first deal and he took it to market and he opened it up to the market and he said, okay, this is the leading offer. Are you willing to beat it? And it got to a point where I said no, but he went from just getting a 6 from me to a 5-9. That might not seem like a lot, but if you do that with every trade, that is without question going to add up. It's no different than him getting a 3-4-8. Obviously Chad had an influence in that.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
And I've said this to other owners. I said, it's about the little stuff, It's not about the big blockbuster trades. It's about the chipping. Like you bring in a guy somewhere, you move him somewhere else, and you turn your 6 into a 4, and then you get a guy, and then you move it somewhere else, and you turn your 4 into a 3. And if you can do that enough times, you'll have a good draft. And there's enough of those trades to be made because every week it's like this flowing ocean. It's like the ebb and flow. It's like some guy, an injury goes down. You have an extra running back. Give him this one. Take that one. It's just constant. And I think you need to be fluid in this league to make things happen, and also to be good. Like I think the guy should be trading. Like, all right, whatever. I'll give a 5 for 4 because I'm going to do something with this player later. The second you're stagnant is, you fall over.
You get married to those draft picks, man, and it's we've seen it with certain guys, man. And so I think the league is just a copycat league now, and we're seeing guys wake up to these different strategies. Specifically the churn and burn. You pick a guy up and then you churn him out and you get the draft pick. So.
Right.
The last trade, I'll let you.
Already getting offers on this Julio now. So that's.
I told you, man. I put it up there for you. Give you the plug.
Last trade was to Cody Wilson, Matt Stafford, round 6 to Rosie Baker Mayfield 4. Rosie essentially is doing exactly what we're talking about. He turned a 6 into a 4. And it doesn't really matter. Both guys are a drop. But Cody's using Stafford this week, and I just can't help but feel like, Cody's going to be all pissed off. There's got to be a better option than Stafford out there. Cody's going to be like, oh, did you look at his last 3 weeks? He had like this many fucking. No, Cody, I didn't do my research on that. But the real problem is you traded Herbert, and now you're going to pay for Stafford. So.
Oh, that's gotta have a little sting to it, just because we both know. Okay, so let's just look at the landscape right now. We know that Cody uses Fantasy Pros, and so if he is, and he's using the Week 11, Matt Stafford is the 15th ranked quarterback. There are 2 quarterbacks ranked within the top 12 that are currently available for free, and they are Cam Newton and Carson Wentz. And Carson Wentz is the guy that a lot of people are buzzing on right now because even without the guys that he normally has, he's been effective. The matchup with the Browns is sort of a middling. But Joe Burrow threw 400 yards against them a few weeks back, so we know that there can be damage done.
Who threw 400
I just look
yards?
Joe Burrow.
Oh, okay. So I didn't hear my mic.
I do see Cody's strategy when he has Golladay potentially. So I think that a lot of guys undervalue the free agency, and this is a perfect segue to the last segment because Cody goes and trades for a guy like Stafford. You know what, Codes? That's fine. I'm going to go ahead for my 13th man in week 11. I'm going to go ahead and grab Cam Newton. You guys out there might be like, who gives a fuck about your 13th man? You want to know why you should give a fuck? You should care because last week, my 13th man roster comprised solely of free agencies, which cost you nothing, put up 109.92 points and finished 4th in the league.
All for free. All for free. So what you would won? You would have been like 4th or 5th, and how
4th in the league.
4th.
I would have beat everybody except for Jake, myself. I had it planned out here. So the only guys that would have beat my free team were Powell, Reynolds. I have it here. Powell, Reynolds, myself, and Powell, Reynolds, myself. That's it. I would have beat Jake. I would have beat Cody. I would have beat Chad. I would have beat you. I basically would have beat everyone but those 3. And so my only point is, a lot of guys, they look at what the waiver wire has to offer in terms of name brand. And what I'm saying is take a look at the matchups, because even though the guy might not have name value, if he's playing against the New York Jets or the Giants or the Dallas Cowboys or the Seahawks, right, there's value there potentially.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more with you. But hey, it's not Cody didn't really give up a lot. He has been on that Stafford train in the past. He likes Stafford. Mm-hmm. But I knew Stafford was injured. I didn't actually know it was pulled ligaments in his throwing hand. I thought it was something in his offhand, but that's just risky. That's just a risky move. I get it that it's a Golladay, it's a stack. People really fucking love the stack. I just feel like there's another move to make. It is what it is. It's not a bad trade. We'll see. We'll see how it works out. Stafford goes out of the game in the second quarter. Cody's gonna be fucking pissed. So
and that's kind of my thing. There's a little bit of a fear based. So I'm not trying to pick on him or anything. I think that he is making the moves that he feels he needs to make. And the one thing in his defense is there is a proven upside with that stack. He's had that stack in the past, and they have gone out and done wonders for him. So. Sometimes it's the evil,
I mean, if it's me, I'm going to Valdez for Matt Ryan. Because not only is Matt Ryan playing New Orleans, and those are always shootouts.
I think you're absolutely right. Yeah.
And Valdez will probably give him up for around the same price. And not only is that a good weekly matchup for Cody.
Yeah.
It's Ryan's 11th. He's just almost a top 10 quarterback. And so, you have him for the rest of the year. I'm actually starting in my other league, my Yahoo league. I'm starting Ryan this week, and I've started.
Are you?
Because I jumped on the Lamar Jackson train, and he's been fucking putting up 17s and 18s for me. So I've had to throw in Ryan. And say what you will about Ryan, will he win the game? Probably not. But you know what? He's going to throw for fucking 400 plus yards and probably 3 or 4 touchdowns, and he's still going to lose by 15.
Call it a day.
Whatever. Yeah, hop on that train. Whereas Stafford, if he's hurt, I could see this being a real game management type game. Swift, Adrian Peterson getting a lot of carries and him throwing where he needs to throw. But anyways, that's all opinion. We'll see how it works out. Maybe he gets the win and proves us all wrong. Or maybe I get to come back next week and say, I told you so. So
before we close, Dorian, I want to make sure everyone knows who I've got rocking for the 13th man for next week. Or for this week. So my QB's Cam Newton. I'm going to go with Malcolm Brown and Rex Burkhead for my running backs. I'm going to go with Michael Gallup, Henry Ruggs, and Cam Sims for Washington for my receivers. Dalton Schultz for my tight end. Joshua Kelly for my flex. Prater as my kicker. And I'm going to double down on the Lions with their defense. So.
Using your boy Josh Kelly, eh?
It's funny, man. A lot of these guys I'll drop, but it's like, you know what? I'll throw them on my free team, yeah. And like last week, Prater had 17.5 points. Nyheim Hines had 23.5. I went with old man Rivers and he put up 24. So I was real happy seeing that. So, so is there anything you want to plug before we close her down?
Yeah, I will tell you that Kyle Silva, fellow gambler, member of the duo, has said he hit a hide anytime TD for tonight's game. If you guys want to hop on that. Carson is out and Collins is on practice squad. So he thinks there's good value there. That was about it. No, I don't have anything to plug. My lines are always open. I'm willing to get some deals done. And yeah, that's where I'm at. What about you? Are you trying to do any deadline deals, or are you just going to roll this train right into playoffs?
There is a deal to be had. I will say, so if you're done with your plug, I'll just take a quick second here. So the only move that I'm, that's on my mind for my team, I'm open to moving out Will Fuller. And I'm open to include Jonnu Smith in that, or a combination of John Brown, Jonnu Smith, and Will Fuller. I look at that being a deal someone goes for if they need some depth on their receiving room. And what I'm literally looking forward to from that type of a deal is a tight end. The tight end, I have Jonnu Smith. Jonnu Smith gets 3 to 4 targets per game. He's the 13th ranked tight end. So I'm looking for somebody as a bit of an upgrade. Obviously, I'm not going to get Kelsey. So if someone is looking for a Will Fuller, who's the WR16, or John Brown, who's in the same range, and a Jonnu Smith, I'm definitely open to some sort of a trade. So I'm not keeping my hopes up, but that's sort of the assets I have willing to move. If I need to sweeten the deal, just as an aside, I do have my 3, and I have a pair of 6s. So if any of that information interests you, you let me know.
Okay. Yeah. I guess that wraps up everything we needed to talk about. And,
all right, boys.
It's 3 p.m. on Thursday, so I should have this podcast ready for 5, and then you guys can listen to it and enjoy your Thursday night football.
All right, boys. Good luck. Thanks for checking in. And if anybody wants to join us as a guest host next week, just let us know.
Until next time, this is Diesel and the Beard signing off. Good luck.
Peace.
Welcome to this week's episode of